Do you ever feel like your life is kind of like a movie? Well, I do, and I'm here to share with you my experience with this. So, sometimes I'm going about my day and I realize that while I'm walking or I'm doing some errands on the street, I realize that my eyes start looking like this. I don't remember the expression used to say whatever is this is about, but my eyes, they get like tense, and I start looking like this, and I associate this facial expression that I have with the fact that sometimes I think a lot, and I tend to reason and think a lot about things that don't need to be thought about, because there's a fine line between um, you know putting your reasoning towards something, like preparing for a big conversation, or at least for me, I feel like for certain conversations, or certain things that I need to do, I need to stop and think about it a little bit, and that it requires a reasoning process that happens inside the brain. But there are some other thoughts that might appear in my mind, in which I apply the same reasoning process into those thoughts to try and find out why are they there, to try and find out the reason that they're there, and what does it mean that they are there, like whatever. It's like a rabbit hole that I enter. And this is exactly what I feel like makes me think that life is like a movie. And this movie that I'm talking about here is not the same movie that, I don't know, a a spiritually realized person would describe as life, because yes, life in a movie could be described as that for whatever other auspicious reasons, but the movie that I'm talking about here is the idea that sometimes we live our lives so automatically that once we catch ourselves in the act of thinking about things that don't deserve it, thinking about things that do not deserve our thinking, when we realize and expand our consciousness in that moment, that's when I feel like I see my life as a movie, because I realize that I've been living like a robot, like someone who's just allowing whatever stream of, like, allowing whatever cloud, if you're gonna define thoughts as clouds. I see myself in that automatic mode, applying the same reasoning process that I have for things that matter. I see myself applying that same process to things that don't matter, to things that shouldn't even be entertained. And this is what I feel like makes my life a little bit automatic or robotic. It's my difficulty to switch modes. I feel like I am naturally a very thinking person. So, for example, for big conversations, again, I feel like I need to step out a bit and think about what I'm gonna say. And then, again, I feel that difficulty in going out of it, in getting outside of that frame of that thinking mode, and just putting myself in an allowance, a self allowance type of mentality or vibration, whatever you want to call it. So I'm gonna open myself up to you here. So I had a conversation with a psychiatrist the other day, and they told me I am probably on the spectrum with some caveats, since I don't have a difficulty in talking to people. I have a very good sense of social cues, and so I don't have difficulty in my life because of that. But I'm definitely someone who likes to be alone a lot, and I if I'm talking about something complex, which for me what I'm talking about right now is a little bit complex, I cannot look someone in the eyes while I'm doing it. I need to look whatever else, because if I'm looking at someone in the eyes, I need to consciously direct energy towards fixing my eyes on the other person's eyes. And I don't know what's that about, but why am I saying this to you? Because I feel like that difficulty to change my thinking pattern might be related to what some people say that it is in the list of symptoms that a person that is on the spectrum feels, which is the idea that they cannot they feel like a tendency or a difficulty in changing routines. And that's my difficulty. Like, if I at least when I'm deep into thinking mode, I have a difficulty getting outside of it. I'm implementing certain habits and certain rituals to help me achieve that, and they are actually have been pretty successful. But let me give you an example. I was, on a I think a few years ago, I was working at the IT sector or IT support of a company, right? And so I was implementing some software, some automation for internal use in the company. And I was thinking in an algorithmic process where, if you don't understand how algorithms work, they are basically like a cooking recipe where you need to you need to make it as clear as possible what are the steps that you're gonna do. And if the steps are too big for you, what you tend to do is you break those steps into smaller steps. And so I was in that thinking process where I was thinking about an algorithm, and I was, going about it in my mind so that I could put it on code later. And so at the same time, we were getting ready to install those Christmas lights in our office. And so my colleague asked me to get a few stripes of tape. So like I was cutting them up with scissors and putting them like in the border of the desk so that we could easily grab them later and glue the Christmas lights into the wall or into the office divisions. And so a few of those stripes or a few of those pieces of tape, they were not used, so I had to put them into the trash. And I was still in that algorithmic mode. And so what I did, so here's how the office setup looked like. I had to walk around the office table to basically toss things away in the trash bin, right? So what I did is I was in the middle of the algorithmic process, and a colleague of mine asked me to throw away the trash, or I don't remember if they asked me or I was gonna do it by myself. I don't remember exactly. But I got up and I took one piece of tape and I walked around the desk and I threw that on the trash. and then I came back and I did the same thing for, I don't know, 5 pieces of tape, until my colleague realized and asked me what I was doing and why wasn't I just grabbing all of the tapes and throwing them all at once in the trash. And that made me think or feel like that I had a kind of an issue, like stopping. I had an issue stopping that mindset to get another mindset. And even the idea that I'm talking about this, and I'm needing to specify to you that I need to switch mindsets when I'm doing different activities on this level of specification, like makes me makes me feel a little bit weird, but it's real. And I don't even remember what I was talking about before. Yeah, I completely forgot. So I was talking about life feeling like a movie, right? And this is what I was talking about. So do you see how those ways of going about certain activities, they differ? For example, meditating is something completely different from thinking. Like it's the opposite of thinking. So when you enter meditation and you enter it with the mindset that you are gonna try to stop thinking, you already lost. And you know what I'm talking about here. There's no losing or winning, whatever. But to meditate is to abstain yourself from going into those rabbit holes, into going into those dissections of thought that you might encounter. And to be honest with you, I realized my interest for, let's say, programming or, objective calculus when I started meditating, after some time after I started meditating. Because I feel like in some way, when you start to train your mind to be able to abstain itself from wasting its computing power on stuff that doesn't matter, then you are able to delegate that reasoning power to stuff that actually matters to you. And I think that's a very good way of looking or of thinking about this. What do you want? What do you want? Talk to me. Come on. Look at this guy. Let me see your face. Let me see your face. All right, whatever, man. So, takeaways from this video. Man, sometimes you just need to stop thinking, and that's obvious to you, I know, but I'm just remembering you, like let go. Like, I'm not going into any rabbit holes right now. I'm just gonna, I don't know, clean my room, or I'm just gonna sit here. Sometimes that's all we need, man. No, you're not gonna need to sit there forever. You don't need to think about these two, You're gonna go back and you're gonna do your thing. So here's like what should you do to make your life feels less like a movie and more like presence? I feel like it's the process of realizing those things that I'm talking about. You have your own realizations, and that's how you increase the capacity of presence in your life. I hope this helped you in some way, so let me know in the comments if it did. See you later.